Good evening, Chop Nation. How are you? What's good? It's your girl Toya G. I'm not alone. You know I'm here with your boy, the political blood, the political plug. Let me put some respect on that P. Let's keep it
Please
P.
do.
The political plug. Good evening, my brother. How are you?
I'm doing swell on this wonderful Sunday. How about yourself, man?
You know, we rolling it. We are on the horizons of a new month. July 1 starts tomorrow. So if you've been putting something off, if you lost track and lost sight of your New Year's resolutions, maybe something faltered and fell by the wayside. Never, a Monday is a good time to get
To
it
get it
in.
back.
My motto with the gym is never miss a Monday. So I'm gonna be in there. If you got some of those aspirations, go ahead and meet me there. If you're trying to get into reading, if you want to stop doing something, you want to start doing something. All I'm saying is it's looking like a real good time to lock in.
Straight
That's
up.
all I'm saying. I think that's what I'm getting to. So I'm just happy to be here, hopefully to give you that little push, if nothing else. But y'all know we got more. You know what I'm saying? A couple different conversations. We got some ask the chop up business. We got some political chop. We got some entertainment or sports chop, if you will. And so we're gonna get into a bunch of things. But I think I want to start with this ask the chop up, and I really want to do that by
Well,
shouting
actually,
out.
let's start out by shouting out. We twins. Okay, we twins. But shout out the chat. We got people in the chat already.
Oh, I didn't even see the chat. I'm over here
Yeah.
talking to you in your face. Emmanuel was good. Thank you so much for the birthday love. It was smooth. Did a little bit of hanging out in SoCal. Did a little bit of hanging out in Denver. So it was a whole vibe. Peaches, what's up with you? Thank you so much for popping in. Hood Therapy, loyal member of Chop Nation. Great to have you in the building. What's up, y'all? I didn't mean no disrespect. Didn't mean to skip over the crew. If you in here looking around, don't just be lurking and stuff. This is a family situation. This is a nation of people who tap in and ready to chop it up. So go ahead and say what's up in the chat. And then, of
Mm-hmm.
course, hit that thumb. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and let us know you in the building. We want to feel your presence. So let us know you were here with that thumb. But we good now? You want to get in the acid chop up?
Let's do it.
Bet. All right. So, and I feel like I was kind of glitching a little bit. So we're gonna see what's up with that because I don't know. But ask the chop up. We always tell y'all hit us up with something y'all want us to talk about, something you want us to toss around. We love questions. We love, things that you want to get our insight about. And so my dog Chris John, Chrissy in the building. We follow each other on TikTok. We've been in the show, been in conversation from the chat for a while now. Commented, can y'all please talk about the Breakfast Club and Tyla situation and just Tyla in general? Now, speaking of Tyla specifically, if y'all don't know, Tyla, make me sweat, make me water, make me wet, make
Yeah.
me hotter, make me water,
Something
something
that got to
like
do with
that.
water. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I just get to singing it. I just know the melody, and I never really invested too much in it.
You mean you get
But
to humming it? You don't really sing it. You hum it because
you know what I'm saying? And we just let her do her thing in the verses. But she actually won before we even get into it. I gotta shout her out because tonight is the BET Awards, and she both won. I think she won Best New Artist of the Year. She beat
mm,
Sexy Red. She beat Boss. She beat Boss Man D'Lo. She beat another host of people whom I never heard of in my life. One of them people I heard on TikTok, but a lot of folks don't know nothing about. But I did know her, and she did win in that category. So shout out to her. And I was looking at my timeline before we started and pressed live, and she apparently had a really good performance at the BET Awards tonight as well. So Shorty doing her thing. If y'all don't know, she is from South Africa. She's from the continent. Definitely is a big ambassador for that. Showed a lot of love in her appreciation or her award speech for just getting a chance. You know what I'm saying? And to stand on the shoulders of people who've been trying to make that, bridge that gap and really become those crossover artists. And so she's very humble artist. Seems like she in the mix. Pretty young lady, doing a great job adding her flair to. I'm gonna call it pop. I'm not gonna call it R&B, but we know that those lines get blurry when we talk music. But it's been an ongoing battle. It's been a big back and forth. And I feel like more recently we saw the Breakfast Club revisit this issue. But Chrissy wanted to ask, just about how we felt about, I'm pretty sure, the whole notion of her identifying as colored and being called colored. So, Plug, what have you kind of pieced together from the situation up to this point from your perspective?
All right, so the controversy started, of course, with Charlamagne's messy ass on the Breakfast Club, and of course, there was Tyla had made comments about her being colored before, so that's kind of what sparked the conversation. But Charlamagne was one of the first people to kind of like, like push the envelope to get her to answer, and her
Right.
response really kind of made people feel a certain type of way because it was very well. Let's take a look at it. We're gonna see.
Mm-hmm.
I want y'all opinion on what y'all think about her response to getting asked this question was. Let's go.
School me on these debates that they be having about your identity as a South African colored person. What does that even
Real
mean?
quick, shout out to Line Time Baby. We see you in the chat. Thank you for popping back in. What's good?
Yeah. Can we not? Por favor.
Oh, I like that. We keeping that in the
You
interview
got
too.
Shut up, man.
it's
Okay,
fine.
hold on. I think yours froze up. Hold on.
Okay. Yeah, I can't hear it.
And so if y'all caught that, let's play it back. Let's run it back. If y'all caught the response to that question, let's make sure Toya able to hear it. You able to hear that, right?
No.
Let me do what it's doing. Let's get that right.
At any rate, I think this conversation about Tyler makes me think about really, in a weird way, the conversation we've been having about Drake, the conversation we have about Big Lotto, the conversations we have about a lot of these biracial artists and where they fit. I mean, I guess you gotta fit Logic into it. By nature, you gotta fit J. Cole into it, right? You like just really big conversations about these biracial artists and what they do with their blackness. So here's the clip. I see it rolling. Or no, I don't
I'm
see
getting
it.
it pulled. I'm getting it pulled back up. I
Gotcha.
mean, because a large part of the debate that I didn't see is people actually arguing that like mixed race people, like if you got like a black parent and a white parent, they're not black. They their own thing, mixed race. So I'm not necessarily sure where you stand on that, Toya. but but that's
I mean, I
that's a
don't know
part of
because
that's a part of where the
it really
controversy
does
comes
beg the
from.
question of whether or not the one drop rule is a help or a hindrance to black people, right? It is a tool and an apparatus that has been given to us by white people and white supremacy to like gatekeep who gets let in, who gets kept out, who's included and excluded, so forth and so
Right,
on. And
right.
so it's like, can we use, I think the phrase is the enemy's tools to undo their house. You know what I'm
The
saying? To
enemy's
like
house, yeah.
yeah, to dismantle their house. Is that even possible? Are you able to use the same tools, tactics, and techniques to subvert and do positive things with it? And so, like, I feel like the one drop rule, you know what I'm saying? I like it. And the reason why I like it and why I defend it, no, is because it allows for blackness to be as expansive as it is, and it recognizes and acknowledges how just ubiquitous blackness is. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna find it everywhere. And so, it's
Yeah.
almost just like, I think it speaks to like if we really are for real about the what is it, the mother gene, or you know what I'm saying, the whole notion that blackness is like the origin and creation of everything. Like, yeah, I mean, like, but I also feel like if you say you're not black, then you're not black. Like it all, that's all it takes. Yeah, I mean, like if you are just like I'm not black, you good. I think that's a separate conversation, for example, than if it's a separate category in and of itself. I think that's a separate conversation from who gets to say nigga. Yeah, that's a separate conversation from the litmus test of four black grandparents. Like, cause I like that one too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just really like it's interesting to
And I
me. But
think
I can understand why the one drop rule has a utility for black people.
and
Already.
I think that people forget that the purpose of race as a concept is to be limiting in how we understand identity. And when we're able
Mm-hmm.
to explode that, like that actually work to our benefit. Like we shouldn't be fighting for the same type of like quote unquote racial purity that white people fight for. You know what I mean? Because we
Absolutely.
see what
Absolutely.
like kind of like what that creates. Let me know if you can hear this to you.
All right, let's try
If
it
it's
out.
not, then we'll just play it and we'll talk about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You still can hear it?
No.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're just gonna play it for the audience, then we're gonna break it down so
Mm-hmm.
Toya be able to get in the conversation. But again, this is Tyla's response to being asked about questions of blackness, uh, based on comments she's made previously. Let's go.
As a South African colored person, what does that even mean?
Can we, yeah, can we not? Por favor.
Oh, I like that. We keeping that in the interview too.
Shut up, man.
I like when they talk from the back and say we can't. I like that. I like that. That's good. That's even better.
Okay.
Next one, please.
That's even better.
Yo, stupid, yo.
Did you?
All right. So that we got the what we saw was the awkwardness, but just to break it down, and especially for our audience and anybody else who wasn't able to hear it, pretty much when she was asked about what is this distinction between being colored and blackness, instead of Tyla answering the question, she turned around and looked at her manager, and her manager was like, "Just can we not, por favor? Like, can we just move on to the next question?" And then Charlamagne, of course, was like, "Oh yeah, we keeping that in the interview." You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, but with that type of answer, of course, it created some controversy. It had people thinking like, "Yo, wait, does she not consider herself black? Why don't she want to answer the question?" Diaspora wars type, you know what I'm saying, vibe that came from that. But after the fact, Tyla actually put out a statement where she kind of cleared up any confusion about her blackness. This is via TMZ. She said, "I never denied my blackness. I don't know where that came from. I'm mixed with black, Zulu, Irish, Mauritian, Indian, and colored. In South I would be classified as a colored woman. In other places, I would be classified as a black woman. Race is classified differently in different parts of the world. I don't expect to be identified as colored outside of South I guess that's how they say South Africa.
I think it's South of like they say South Africa, but without saying Africa every time.
They just say South.
I don't know what the A sounds like. I don't know what
if it's a long A or short A.
You know how the A is the A, it's the I. Exactly. So let me not lie about it, but I can make that connection that that's just an abbreviation, so you don't have to say South Africa every time.
Right. I understand the weight of that world outside of SA, but to close this conversation, I'm both colored in South Africa and a black woman. She said, and a black woman. It's okay. That's okay.
It's okay.
It's a typo. It happens.
As
a woman of the culture, it's and not or. With that being said, a Sambi. That's probably some African shit. So confusing moment, awkward moment in the interview. Clarifying statement, very nuanced. Somebody kind of clearly was like, "This is what you need to say to get this off your back." All in all, Toya, do you think she deserves this controversy, like this conversation around her name?
I don't think so. I mean, I think we have to be nuanced thinkers and understand context and understand other cultures and not be ethnocentric, right? Ethnocentric being centering our ethnicity and thinking it's the most important thing, especially for Black Americans. Like, it's kind of hypocritical and not redundant. What is it? Ironic. And there's a word that I'm missing for why you would do such a thing, especially considering you live in a world that is a society that is attempted to assimilate you into the ethnocentric things that they value and care about the most, and how they want to talk about it, and they want to label you, and this, that, and the other. And so, like, that's kind of weird. But I think, and I made this. So over there in South Africa, people who are mixed race, right? We kind of make the decision, and we let people make the decision on what they want to be called in America when they're biracial. What are you? And then this is what I'm projecting onto you. You are, and then we'll decide which one reigns supreme, depending on.
Black people make that distinction. White people, like, exactly. If you mix like to white people, you just a nigga still. Exactly,
right? But Black people are like, we a little bit of how you identifying yourself, a little bit of how we understand and kind of gatekeep and create benchmarks and kind of create standards for what it means to be Black. We negotiate those things actively in one moment, and you are what you are, depending on where you are and what you're doing. Cool. Over there, if you are biracial, you are colored. It is what it is. It's pretty straightforward. It's not a whole lot in the middle. If it's a name for that. You know what I'm saying? I think they've done the work of figuring out whatever. Now, they don't have transatlantic slavery. They don't have chattel slavery. They don't have a Middle Passage. They don't have a lot of the other processes that allow for us to then gain grammars for our suffering, get grammars for our identity, be projected onto grammars by slave owners and slave masters that had a language for how they understood us in the Americas. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just different. Like, it's a whole system structure, whole different understanding of what we know to be modernity, or creation of a world where language either attempts to or fails to describe or explain the reality of an existence, right? So it just, the mechanics of it are different. And I think that's the part of the conversation that have been missing. And that is why over there it's completely legitimate for her to be a colored woman and me not be uncomfortable about calling her that. Or I probably wouldn't, because I'm an American. So when I'm talking about her, I'm gonna just call her a Black woman because that's my geospatial location and my cultural context. I think about it, and this is what I shared with you who's on the phone. I think about it like I had to learn to think about it when I was in the 6th grade at Lincoln College Prep, you know what I'm saying, taking my little Spanish class, trying to figure out what language I wanted to study for the rest of middle school and high school. And eventually I chose German. They asked the German program. And so they rerouted me over to Spanish, to Espanol. And I found out, right, after a couple of classes, couple semesters, couple I don't remember when they broke the news, but I knew Black was negro. And so that was my first time being like, in another language, in another place, like they are saying what is kind of a slur slash a statement that
outdated.
Really, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Then I went further and found out they was calling us negritos. I said, that sounds like nigger and the hard R. And like, it just, I was very complicated. It was very confused about how I was supposed to feel about that. And then I got over it because in Spanish, Black is that. And when we talk about, they talk about and refer to Black women, they are not necessarily being, and there's some baggage there. I get that there is some,
of course,
you know, racial and cultural baggage and anti-Blackness that exists in Latinx culture as well. Not ignorant about that at all, right?
Yeah.
But they got to talk about it fast and how they don't talk it. Like, so I'm not about to split hairs and be confused. Like, who? I know you can't be. Yes, they're talking about me and some other people that are, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just the language, it's the cultural context. And so I feel like we get caught up in really stupid and very nebulous things when this young lady is telling you, listen, I'm Black. I get it. I understand that. I identify as it based on your norms, based on your system. That's what I am, but I'm also from over there too.
Yeah, we have to stop acting like white people when it comes to Blackness. Like, we have to recognize that, one, like, our racial understanding is based in American socialization. So it was like, that's why you didn't learn the color Black and Negro Spanish first. You learned that it was a people called Negro, and these people that was called Negro was enslaved, and they have a particular. So then when you was introduced to the word Negro, just meaning Black, the social context, you know what I'm saying, you apply to it. And I think this conversation is relevant in a lot of ways because we attempt to export our racial context the same way that white people export their racial context to everybody else. And it's like, they have we call this is something me and Toya talked about behind the scenes, but like, for example, the term mulatto, like, to some people, like, that wasn't really a negative term, you know what I'm saying? It just meant you was a mixed person. Even though, like you said, a lot of these terms do have the negativity that come along with it. That's why you got the rapper Mulatto, who ended up changing her name just to Lotto. Yeah, I mean, for like politically correct purposes, for, you know, respectability, politics purposes, it works. But at the end of the day, at the end of the day, we have similar terms for that, and like, we got to understand that Africans don't view Blackness the same way that we do. There are Africans that connect to it. It's some Africans that don't. It's Africans that happily call themselves Black and wouldn't hesitate to answer the question. And you got some that's like, nah, I'm not African. I'm this. Or I'm not Black. I'm this. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that the conversation just surrounding her and her Blackness is more of it kind of speaks to how a lot of people are still young in their intellect when it comes to this question of race. Right. And so, like, being Black and being proud, finally it's like, all right, that's mainstream. You know what I'm saying? Like, niggas, like, being Black and proud is up there, just like, you know, with the same amount of people that's out there that's like, you know, forget Blackness. You know what I mean? And because we have that that memory of people trying to disconnect from Black because of what they think Black mean, or the way that Black has been pathologized. They don't want to be Black. Then when people don't jump on their Blackness the same way that American Blacks do, then we assume that it comes from them not wanting to be like us. Man,
Right.
in Tyler's case, it comes off just more as a cultural difference, like really a language difference. You know what I'm saying? Like just based on how this is a term they use to describe that. You feel me? Other people got another term that they use to describe that. So yeah, like I think that I can appreciate the defense of blackness. I can appreciate people being proud to be black and wanting other people proud to be black. But let's not turn that zeal into something that's, that complicates things, you know what I'm saying, for other people, as opposed to kind of just using that as an opportunity to understand the different ways that blackness presents itself and the different ways that blackness is described, you know what I'm saying, across the world. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
hopefully that answers this question. Their
Hey,
question.
Peaches said, I hate the colorism talks the way it should be judged as if a white cop pulled you over, how would you be treated? To me, that ultimately determines who you are. And that goes back to, what you said. The rule of thumb is how you moving around, how they gonna see you. And if they
Yeah.
gonna see you like you black, then you probably black, fam. Like, you know what I'm saying? I think we should maybe use the
Regardless
barometer
of what you call yourself.
the worst possible case scenario. Like in the worst scenario, who will you be as you exist in this world, in this society? And it's probably a black person. But put a pin in those race talks, because like I said, we get a chance to really kind of go and peek back into this every time we talk about, the Drake and Kendrick scenario. Every time we talk about, you know what I'm saying, what we do with the Barack Obamas of the world and their successes and how we understand those and share those. What do we do with Kamala Harris? You know what I'm saying? Like so many different ways that we end up having to really etch out meaningful conversations about race. So this is one of many. But that's the Tyler convo. We can go ahead and transition now into what we getting into, Bronny?
Bronny.
Yeah, we're getting into Bronny and this whole kind of controversy that's surrounding Bronny James and LeBron James, and the idea of nepotism. That is a word that I think, kind of reappears every now and again, typically exists. I won't even say typically exists in entertainment, because we've seen it in politics. We've seen it in, like blue collar work. I think there was an example that Colin Cowher used, that where he was talking about how nepotism is really not that unique. People want to make a big fuss about it and get all excited about it, but when it's all said and done, when you were driving down the street and you see a plumbing truck next to you, it's a Johnson and Sons. You know what I'm saying? It's a Allen and Sons. Like, it's a strategic attempt to pass down wealth and opportunity that has been part and parcel with, societies and structures forever. But as most things are, there is, of course, a racialized aspect to this conversation, right? A question of now what, we are kind of talking about in terms of black nepotism, the comparison of it to white nepotism, and whether nepotism in and of itself is good money or not as a system and structure to build a future, a society, a family around. So, what say you? Do I need to kind of break down the context more, or do you want to go ahead and frame why we're even having this conversation and what happened with the NBA?
Yeah, so before we do that, I do want to I do also, because like Colin Cowherd, I kind of got like a love-hate relationship with him. You know what I'm saying?
Very much so.
Yeah, and so like even
I ain't passing the guy.
Yeah, right. Because even the whole nepotism isn't unique. It's like, nigga, it exacerbates certain inequalities that already exist, and it's one group of people who utilize nepotism as a way to cause those inequalities to grow wider. So
yeah,
but that is but that just
talking about here is the same nepotism we was talking about with affirmative action, and what I'm saying, what happens and when we don't have that check back, how people just slide their kids on and get them accepted and put a name on the building, and now in their life. So yeah,
it's that easy. So what's happened with my favorite team is it's more Bron news, right? Like it's
your favorite team. I'm sorry, I just remembered your favorite team didn't win the NBA championship this year, but my favorite team did, and so I got excited. I got distracted. Goes with Boston.
Okay, whatever.
Go ahead.
Whatever.
Go ahead.
We talking about the Lake Show. We talking about the Lake Show.
We're talking about the NBA. Go ahead.
All right. Y'all finally got rid of that drought. Okay, but we're not gonna do that.
We have more rings now. Go ahead, keep going.
Okay. Yeah. Let's thank all the plumbers and everybody that build. Anyway, we're not gonna do that. I'm not gonna handle your team. Anyway,
Go ahead.
So LeBron James, if unless you've been living under a rock, LeBron James Jr. played for USC, had a whole like heart failure on the court, passed out, recovered from that, went back to USC. At the end of his first year, he declared for the NBA draft. Okay, everybody talked a big game about how he was at the combine. Everybody said it was kind of inevitable that he was going to get drafted because of the situation. And lo and behold, at number 55, the number 55th pick, LeBron James Jr., Bronny James, was drafted to the Los Angeles Lakers. While a lot of people like Colin Cowherd have been like, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, isn't that kind of dope? Even me, myself, like LeBron growing up without his father, you know what I mean? Like having his first son and then being successful enough to be able to still be in the NBA and be like the first father-son duo in the NBA, along with all LeBron's other accomplishments. I feel like this is like the ice on the cake. Like, how do you not call him the GOAT after this? I mean, I still don't, but you know, it's more difficult to not call him the GOAT after this.
Right, right.
But at the same time, you have people that was just like, fuck nepotism. You know what I'm saying? It was and they were showing like people who had stats, you know what I'm saying, that were better than Bronny's, even on his same team, on his USC team, had stats that was better than Bronny's, and was like, this, like Bronny get drafted and a player that was better than him didn't. And so it was a large conversation about fairness and whether or not he took a seat from somebody else. And while most of the media was riding with it, because I mean it's a great story, right? Like it's a LeBron James, one of the greatest players ever, played long enough to be able to play with his son. Great story, right? Some people wasn't feeling it, and one of those people was Bomani Jones. Okay, and then respond. Well, I'm gonna go to his first tweet where he was saying, "Still can't believe either LeBron thinks this is a good idea, and it's I still can't believe either LeBron thinks this is a good idea." Oh, he's saying either LeBron, like LeBron and LeBron James Jr. Okay. I was like, all right,
yeah, like either of the LeBron. That's clear. Yeah.
Right. Think this is a good idea, and it's embarrassing. More people in my profession won't call this clown shit that it is, but here we are. And what he was referring to as most people in his profession was, of course, Stephen A. Smith. Most of the things that are called clown shit either have to do with Stephen A. Smith or Skip Bayless. Sometimes Shannon Sharp, but Shannon Sharp has more to do with like culture shit than sports shit. He don't say dumb shit in terms of sports. But in the second tweet, responding to Stephen A. Smith speaking for more than 5 minutes about the role nepotism played, his response was, okay, but what's the response to people who do criticize white nepotism? And where is in this world where nepotism isn't criticized? This story is being covered with a staggering dishonesty. Never thought nepotism is bad, and this probably doesn't help Bronny, would be hot takes. So, with both of those attitudes being out there, Toya, does LeBron James deserve to be criticized for nepotism?
Does he deserve to be criticized for nepotism? No. I think he is utilizing a system that already exists. I feel like I feel like he showed his hand to. I think the most annoying thing about this is how it ended up being a narrative and how it ended up being talked about. I don't think your aspirations are bad. I think I was more annoyed with the like boost his son. Like it wouldn't. Like yeah. I think it's bad for the brand. I think it's bad for basketball. You know what I'm saying? Like I think it's good for their family. I think it's bad for basketball. But the thing is, I've been to, you know, how many examples do we have of like how much that doesn't matter? You know what I'm saying? The idea of Giannis, you know what I'm saying, playing for the Bucks. I want to say, I mean, I think in this Colin Cowherd video, they talk about how the CEO, you know, of the Lakers, what was it, Jim Buss? What was his name?
Yeah, like Dr. Buss.
Yeah. He, you know, passed away and dissolved his team and gave shares of it to his daughter, to his kid. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, Jeannie Buss is currently running the Lakers. Like
1,000%.
Passed it. Yeah.
And so when you look at kind of the nature of that, then it is what it is. I just don't think. I think Bronny would have probably done well with another year to sit, to stew, to develop, to do his thing. And I think the whole timing and the nature of LeBron being old and stuff like that, I do feel like it's selfish. So I'm kind of in the middle, to be honest. Like it is good for their family. It's good for his resume. It's good for, you know what I'm saying? Like the narratives that gets us around the NBA and that keep the Lakers relevant. Because to be honest, there are some issues, there are some holes, there are some problems there, and so LeBron is
Yeah,
going to track
right.
that energy. I mean, we just man, you can objectively be honest there too, right? So like, sure, but I mean, LeBron retires after this year. What does LeBron's career look like? If he doesn't make any noise on the Lakers, if he doesn't really, you know what I'm saying? What do future contracts look like? What does that time in the league look like when he could have just cooked a little bit more, stewed a little bit more, been drafted to a team that would have taken a different route in developing him? Right? Say he
Developing,
is
yeah.
NBA ready. Maybe he didn't need to go to the Lakers, right? There was talk about him going to the Suns. There was talk about him going to a bunch of places. But now you got him sitting up under there, under his daddy, under the spotlight, under the cameras, which I think that pressure gonna do to him. He almost passed away and cameras always in his face. Now all of this draft stuff, cameras on his face. Now he don't get his first year. He wasn't gonna get a quiet first year anyway because he's LeBron James' son. But now, like, and I think that's the stuff that's not being calculated for. But he LeBron James' son. He probably stronger than I can imagine. He probably built for this, seen some things, done some things, being trained and built up for this moment. So what do I know? Only time will tell. I just feel like it's a weird way for this to play out, and I don't think I should have known as much as I did about these intentions. Is what I'll say.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel like it's a double-edged sword because I do think on one half like a black fatherhood and you know what I'm saying, and then being able to connect that to the game that you play and being the first nigga to be able to do that, like all of that is like great for like Black history type shit, right?
Yeah.
But I think ultimately though, it does become a greater problem, because I think there's a great argument to be made about whether or not this is more about Bron's ego, you know what I mean, than like Bronny's career. Like, cause I do believe that Bronny is sacrificing a career in the NBA, maybe possibly, right? Could be sacrificing a career in the NBA, just to be able to get to a point where just to be able to be on the court with his daddy, you know what I'm saying, for a year or two.
I mean,
You know
well,
what
I put it to you like this. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I know, cause I was just saying, cause I don't like most people were saying, like he hasn't really shown like NBA level skill. You know what I mean? Like he's been good, right? But like even before LeBron James started talking about wanting him in the league, like it was like, okay, he's like, okay, like he's cool. Like he plays like a kid has come from a basketball family. Like he clearly has like the ability and the skill set, but the talent is always been questionable whether or not the talent is
that's
there.
why I don't know outside of gimmicky moments why he would play in front of like Gabe Davis, who had a terrible season. He was supposed to be a 3-and-D guy, supposed to hit a whole bunch of threes. He didn't really hit a bunch of threes or give a whole lot of D, so he didn't get playing time. But let's say he just had a slumpy season because he had just made a transition from Miami the season before. So maybe he just needed more time to get into that system. And on top of that, it's top heavy because they got D'Lo, they got I forgot what other point guard that is over there, but I feel like it's somebody else right behind D'Lo. And then you know what I'm saying? So they not guard heavy, but they not guard light. So I just don't even understand how Bronny's time there is supposed to move him up in the pecking order to get enough time to develop, to make a meaningful splash. It's like in terms of what I know about basketball, like you got drafted, but that don't mean you're gonna make a team. So what we're gonna do in a couple months when some cuts got to be made, you know what I'm saying? Some final rosters got to be determined, and maybe he.
I don't see him getting cut. I don't see him getting cut. You're not about to cut LeBron James' son. You're not about to cut LeBron James' son.
At all. But here's what I'll say. Kev on Stage had a really interesting video that he posted like yesterday, and I'm trying to go to it to get the context right. But like he went back to, I don't know what year this was, and he's gonna say it, and I don't want to play the video because it's just on my phone. But I want to say he probably went back to like 2019, 2018. No, not 2019, 2018. He went through the last 10 years or so of number 55 picks and was like, out of all these number 55 picks over the last, like, I think this is probably like 15 players, 15 years. Whose name do you remember? Who's recognizable out of it? So it's like a lineup. And if y'all listening, I'm showing like a lineup of just 15 NBA players from like the last 15 years that went 55. Out of all of them, who do you recognize? I recognize one. There's one 55th pick, Patty Mills, out of this whole lineup of people that you can actually look at and be like, and I've been watching basketball since I was in high school. You feel me? Like, I'm not like the most knowledgeable, but I know, like, I've talked basketball with the plug. I would hope that you're not thinking you're talking to a wall when we're going back and forth about what's happening with T. So I'm knowledgeable looking at this, like, and so I say all of that to say, as a 55th pick, how much noise you gonna make? You know what I'm saying? You got drafted from the house. They just recorded your shit and played it. You know what I'm saying? Like you like, and this is not to say that they're not come back and developing players that are awesome all the time. But I'm interested in seeing if he has a stint in the G League. I'm interested to see like just what the trajectory is because it's interesting. Can I ask you a question though?
What up?
I think this whole conversation kind of begs the question because we separated into black nepotism versus white nepotism, but is nepotism good? Or like, what are your thoughts about, you know, in a world where there are a lot of qualified people, there are a lot of important things that need to happen, there are a lot of opportunities for us to get ahead. Just the idea and the thought that maybe we are not as far ahead as we could be as a society, as a people, because there's just been a legacy of people sliding their cousins and their kids and their mom and daddy and something and this and that and putting the family on.
Yeah.
So what do you feel about the system of nepotism? Do you think it's good or bad or whatever in between, just objectively without it being a racialized concept?
I mean, I think the only thing that makes it bad is the racialized concept. That's what turns it into a problem because, I mean, like, so like even when we look at the example of passing, you know, Dr. Bus passing the team down, the Genie Bus. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, like he owned that team, and like what you own, you want to pass down to your kids.
Yeah.
So I think that concept of like leaving a legacy for my children, passing on to my children, and letting them carry it on, is one thing. But I think that the only reason like we like as black people specifically have a problem with nepotism is just because it ensures that one particular group maintains its control over resources, maintains its control over opportunities, etc. Right? And so, but given the circumstances, because these divisions exist, I think that's what makes black nepotism necessary. Like black parents need to be able to give their kids opportunities that they only got because you're their parent. You feel me? Like as a parent, you create these opportunities to be able to be, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like I get, for example, you know, the idea that well, somebody else who may have worked this hard or whatever, but at the same time as a parent, I worked this hard to give this to my child. Yeah. Like I worked this hard so I could have a position for them. So as a parent, like fuck just a business owner and fuck an NBA player, as a parent, everything that I have done, you know what I'm saying, once my child was born has been for them. So then to criticize me or to criticize the concept of me providing for or like passing something on to my child because somebody else don't think that they deserve it, it's like that's ridiculous. Like as much as, you know, everybody should get a fair shot, this, that, and the third, like I'm as a parent, like I think that just doesn't make sense to put your child in like a worse position. Like, yeah, you can give them a job and have them like work up to it. You feel me? It's ways that nepotism can be done where it's fair. You feel me? Like giving your child giving your child like a CEO job. You know what I'm saying? While you have like
like I think you have to be responsible with your nepotism though, because I feel like as an effective leader, and this is where I'm putting my leadership hat on. You know what I'm saying? Like you do have to have the team, the organization, the corporation, who you working with. You need to have his bottom line and interest at heart. And so I think you do need to have pause and a meaningful conversation about whether you've done the work to cultivate and develop a qualified individual to hand it over to, so that, you know, the legacy building that you've done, so that the trajectory that you're building for whatever it is that you're passing along itself is something that is being left to sustainable hands. Like, and this is where, you know, we get into the nuance of different entry points and making sure we're not just kind of giving the keys to the kingdom to people who just are ill-equipped to run and to handle whatever business is at hand. I think in a lot of ways.
I think LeBron did do it responsibly. If they would have used that first pick, like a first round pick on Bronny, that would have been irresponsible as hell. You know what I'm saying? But him being available at 55, because like you said, like Patty Mills is like the only, you know what I'm saying? I think it's another face that I've recognized, but I couldn't put a name to the face. You feel me? But I think that like him using the 55th pick to get Bronny, as opposed to like getting them in the first round, that was the responsible
pick. Like we know who exactly was in the decision room.
Yeah, like we know. Yeah, right.
He used the 55th pick. Shout out
Yeah.
to Blue in this building, and yes, absolutely, Lion Time, baby. I'm a leader all day long. Higher definition leadership and empowerment coaching. Make sure y'all go to the website higherdefinitionlec.com. Book me, talk to me. I make micro learning content. I'm a leadership development specialist. I work with K through 12, small groups, individuals, corporations, government agencies. Book me. My commercial's over. Now back to this conversation. Um, I here's the thing about nepotism that I find striking, and like you said, the racialized component of it is what makes it bad. I feel like on some American dream type shit, or at least on
Mm-hmm.
some kind of what I mean, when you think about candidates, when they run for office, when they talk about, what their desires are, when we talk about shit, the reason why we protest and why we're angry and upset and frustrated, it's all about generational wealth. It's all
Yep.
about my grandkids and my kids and this kid and that kid and the future for what it looks like and sounds like for, a time when I might not be here to intervene. What can I do to set up and give my people leverage so that the legacy that I'm building can kind of have some legs to it? And so I feel like somewhere along in there, linguistically, because nepotism got a little kick to it. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's something about nepotism. You know what I'm saying? That really it hits, it puts some teeth in it, and it gives it
Right.
some but it really is just the idea of generational wealth for everybody. I feel like,
Right.
and I could be wrong. I would want to like interrogate the interpretations of these words even more. But I wonder what if any, are the distinctions in between generational wealth or building generational wealth and nepotism, or whether it's just a more concise, more direct word to describe that phenomenon. Because if that's the case, then I only bring up like kind of the etymology and the comparative kind of notion of this language to say, then what are we really arguing about, right? If the goal and the bottom line from the person who wants to, be voted in the office to the people who are arguing about why capitalism is so bad is to create some type of generational opportunity for sustainability for their people, then like, what are we really talking about? I think we get, to the stickiness of it, like you said, because of the disproportionate way that nepotism is pushed out qualified Black people who just never had a chance to even get going, never had no momentum. So of course, I'm trying to, because we ain't never owned no houses. We ain't never owned no land. We ain't never had, what I'm saying, debt free. We ain't never started out with from scratch with just being good. And you
Yeah.
just go for it. Build on zero debt. Zero, you know what I'm saying? You don't own nobody. Because those things are so new, I get it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. There's a part of me, and this is what I don't know what to do with. And this is where we'll start to leave it, or I'll leave it up to you to close it out. But this is what I don't know what to do with it. What do we do with qualified and capable people who we need at the forefront of these businesses, these organizations, these entities? I started off the conversation asking the question, how far behind are we? Right? If we had a way to quantify it, I would love to see just how underdeveloped we truly are because of cousins and friends and daughters and sons that have been put on. You know what I'm saying? For the sake of being put on. Because I don't care what color you are, if like cure the
Yeah.
cancer and you didn't get the scholarship, the answer to our biggest questions about how we have a system outside of socialism and capitalism. Like, what is the new economic system that we can use to be sustainable in society? It could be locked in the brain of somebody who's not getting a scholarship check or not getting hired somewhere, can't really make the decisions we need to make. So
Now,
that's
I
what
think
keeps me up.
you. Yeah, I think you answered that with like responsible nepotism. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like it's like I want to give my child a job, but I want to give my child a job that they can do well. I want to give my child a job, but I want to give my child a job to where I don't have to sacrifice quality in order for them to be in that position. Or I got
mm-hmm.
somebody else working double time because my child got the job, but they can't. You know what I mean? They're not up to it. So somebody else got to clean up their mess, not getting paid more for it. You know what I mean? So it's ways to do it. Like give your child an opportunity to be able to come up and show that they successful and show that they can be successful, but just making sure that they got an opportunity to show that they can be successful. Because I think that's
Yeah,
what most people miss is that it's a lot of people don't even just get the opportunity to show that they could be good at it. You know what I mean? While a lot of these kids are just getting put, oh, manager, CEO, vice president. You know what I mean? Just cause it's like nah. So I think black nepotism can be beneficial, but it can't be like we can't sacrifice quality just because we want our kids to have a nice job when we can just give them a job.
we can't do
You
it
know what I
like white
mean?
people do. You know what I'm saying?
We
We
can't do
really
it
kind
like
of have
just
to.
like with everything else. We can't do it like white
Yeah,
people. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Well. mean, we'll see what Bronny gonna do. You know, we love us some basketball narratives, and this is a Laker conversation, so it's not a lot that's gonna get biased, but
We'll see. I'm ready for the circus to be over and just kind of build from the ground up. But last part of the conversation,
mhm.
the debate.
The debate.
The presidential debate. So at this point, y'all probably heard all the commentary. Y'all have heard everybody break it down. You know, every which way that it could be broke down. We've heard the narratives about Joe Biden looking old, looking like a grandpa, look like he came off. You know, they wheeled him in from a
Your
nursing
boy was
home.
glitching. He was glitching.
He was glitching. We've heard the narrative about Donald Trump rambling on lies after lies after lies after lies. Me myself, I didn't watch a lot of it because like as soon as I turned it on is when they was do the black jobs conversation that irritated everybody.
And
That you've
entertained
heard,
everybody.
yeah, entertained, right? Irritated and entertained. You've heard the black jobs conversation be broken down every which way that it could be broken down.
Yeah.
But like for me, I felt like I couldn't. What made it hard for me is that I'm watching Donald Trump, and it's like I'm expecting Donald Trump to do what Trump did. No surprises there. But then, like, just really the decline from Joe Biden in like from the 4 year from like the last 4 years that he was on the debate stage to now, it's evident. Like it's evident, and this isn't. You know, I grew up around older people, so it's not to say that you know people in their 80s are necessarily limited. You know what I mean? In their mental capacity, like I think it's ages. A lot of the conversation surrounding Joe Biden and his aptitude, his ability to you know like think clearly. Like all old people ain't just walking around in a haze. You know what I'm saying? Not knowing where the fuck they at.
Yeah, very true.
You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those. And so, but at the same time, the debate is like a perception type thing. And so when he's like just talking old and sounding old, and he sounds exasperated, like this is a lot. You know what I'm saying? It's just
To be
it
fair,
didn't.
I mean, to be fair, they said he was ill. You know, apparently he had a cold, and
Oh yeah, he had a cold. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't want to say it probably beforehand because they didn't want him to seem weak. It's kind of like players, you know what I'm saying? Like you don't like in sports, like you don't want to give too much of the report. You don't want to give it too early, too soon, because you don't want anybody to out strategize what you got going on. So you try to keep it hush until the time is right. But I think maybe that might have been a misfire in terms of decision making.
Right. Agreed. And so, so a lot of people was talking about Joe Biden loss, but for me it was like America lost. Like it was a showcase. Like nah, for real, because like it was a showcase of like it's supposed to be our two best and brightest, and it's like these niggas is about to be the leader of the free world. Like what's happening? You know what I'm saying? And so, shout out to Kevin just pulled up. Long time no see. Appreciate you being able to pull up, Kev. So my question about the debate is, well, like, who do you think won? Who do you think won?
I think after the dust settled,
Say it. Just say it. Just say it. Be
it's
objective.
hard. I'm biased. I think I'm biased because I saw a lot of the commentary came from like news sources, but it also came from my Twitter timeline, you know, and so it's a lot of people who are just like, okay, now that we've gotten over seeing this nigga struggle, still not voting for Donald Trump. Still not an option. Still like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's people that's just like, okay, so he's old. We knew this. This is old information. This is conversations we had before. The man is 80, but he's still making, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of people were just like, I'll take that over a liar. People, I seen tweets that's just like, I don't care if his ashes, if he's been cremated by the time the election comes, I'm voting for them ashes. Like I'm voting for Joseph Biden. You know what I mean? So in a lot of ways, I feel like people weren't swayed, and I think people were frustrated with the performance because the perception thing is so important. But I think we're forgetting this idea that nobody is changing I don't think nobody's changing their minds. You know what I'm saying? Right. I think that
based
nobody's
on the debate, right?
Yeah, nobody's changing their minds based on the debate, and I think a lot of voters have already kind of decided what direction they're going in, or that they don't care about this and they're not participating at all. I don't know how many ballots are out there to be gotten, and so a lot of people criticize Joe Biden for demanding this debate. It was his idea. This debate is very early in terms of the timeline for when the debate's basically happened. So it's just like, why did you want to do this in mid-June? You also have the chance to cancel debates, but then of course that makes you look weak and makes it seem like you're being shifty and weird and that you're not ready for the debate you called out. So you can't really do that. So it's a lot of different extremes at play. I just feel like to answer the question of who won, I guess I want to say Joe Biden won, because I feel like the general narrative, even when I think about Anna Navarro, right, like who was on The View. So I'm thinking about more mainstream media. A lot of that conversation was like, who gives a shit? Like, y'all are like falling for it and we can't afford to do that. There's a whole lot more. Like, so I don't know. Like, that's one example of many. Like I said, I didn't take an overwhelming amount of media. And a lot of people was like, I'm not watching that shit. A lot of people was like you and was just like, I'm not even about to play with y'all about this.
Engaged in the propaganda, yeah.
And so it's hard to say, but I think just Donald Trump just lies so much. He's so unlikable. His face is so punchable. And I think if anything, the debate gave him another chance to pop up there and people was like, oh shit, I remember. I forgot for a second. But now I remember how crazy and how outlandish and how unnecessary you are, and I don't like that.
Yeah, nah, but speaking objectively, well, let me first say this. Debates are propaganda. Debates are not about honesty. Debates are not about policy. They're not about, you know what I'm saying, like anything outside of spreading propaganda, being a personality and using your personality to make people want to vote for you. And did I already say opportunity to spread propaganda? Right? Like, it's like, what else do you expect from these folks? So if I'm being objective about like the purpose of the debate, Joe Biden lost. Period. Like, if I'm being objective about the purpose of getting up there and being a personality that people feels what?
I mean, but that's kind of that's what I'm saying. Like, the initial reaction is he lost. But the spin, we love spin. You know, we love some fucking spin. My friend is in the building. And the thing about the spin is the whole spin has been, so what? Joe Biden lost the debate. That's 90 minutes of his life. But what about the last 3.5 years when he's made some of the most difficult decisions in, like, the whole, from Barack Obama to Kamala Harris immediately after the debate? Shout out to a black woman going there and cleaning up some shit and making sure people don't fall for the okie doke, because she got on CNN with Anderson Cooper and was like, you're not finna play my commander in chief. Like, he ain't sat up here and cooked on y'all niggas for 3.5 years and done everything to try to wash away all the bullshit that Donald Trump brought in here. And for one debate, y'all gonna judge him off of, like, you know what I'm saying? And I was compelled by that. Like, realistically, he just sounded weak for one debate. Like, I promise you. And I sent this to the group chat, but I was tickled by the damn meme. What is the name of that show? The Handmaid's Tale.
Handmaid's Tale, right.
A whole bunch of women from the Handmaid's Tale, right? Which speaks to the loss of women's rights and the ability for us to determine what we do with our bodies and this, that, and the other. And then it's like a little cloud of where somebody talks.
Like a speech bubble, yeah.
Speech bubble. And inside the speech bubble will say, but he stuttered though. I was just like, no, and it shocked me back into reality, because what are we really talking about, bro? Like, my grandma voice shook a little bit when she spoke, but I'd be damned if I didn't sit up and, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like,
listen to what she had to say. No, and I get that. But that's why I'm like, we can say he lost the debate and then move on with our goddamn business. Like, just because he lost, just because he didn't have the best image, like, because you and I both know we were considered performance debaters.
We were. Right?
And so we recognize the value of performance in a debate. And we recognize that you could be up there kicking ass. If you don't look like you're kicking ass, it don't mean nothing. You know what I'm saying? So objectively speaking, you feel me? Joe Biden lost. Now, because this gets me to my question. Because does Joe Biden lose in this debate mean that Donald Trump deserves to win the election? Hell no.
Hell no.
Hell no. I can objectively say, just based off of the purpose of the debate, Joe Biden, the way he presented himself is the reason why he lost. But at the end of the day, the idea that because he lost the debate, he should then lose the election, or like Democrats was doing, panicking, like they should try to replace Joe Biden 5 months before an election. It's like, my nigga, if y'all was gonna do that, y'all should have did that 2 years ago. Yeah. Like, the fact that y'all making a big, like, and this is why people stop watching cable news. Stop it. Because I swear, like the whole somber, serious, I think this is.
We didn't got unplugged. Our producer disconnected us.
Yeah, hold
And
on.
by producer
Hold
I
on, can you
mean
hear
Huey,
me?
who is pushing
Yeah.
things and twiddling with cords right now. Can you hear us? Are you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Still can't hear you,
But
brother.
oh, you can't hear me, fam?
Nah, still can't hear you. Plug is
Hold
gonna keep
on, I
messing with
think.
stuff, but I do want to go to these comments real quick. Emmanuel says, well, actually, Kevin first said in the verses, fans win. In debates, we all lost. And this is absolutely fact. A fact. Let's see. I need to go on and let Papa Joe sit down somewhere, is what Emmanuel said. I think it would have helped Biden's cause if they would have fact checked Trump more. And I want to talk about that, Emmanuel, because I think it's so right. And this brings us to the question of what the hell the purpose of the moderators were. When we think about the format of the debate, okay, y'all can hear him. I can't hear him. But I'm gonna finish this thought and then we'll see if I can kind of get reconnected to his audio. When we think about the format of the debate, y'all notice they changed it, right? So first of all, there was no audience there. They felt like the audience was having too much of an influential role on the debates. They was being able to make too much noise and kind of give too much of an ethos boost to one person or another in a moment that made the debate unfair. And then I think they changed the speech times or the response times, and it made it to the where people like they weren't even finishing their speech times half the time. So a lot of the formatting things that went along with this debate were interesting. But one thing people criticized a lot was with these damn moderators, there's no fact checking. There's no, well, wait a minute. Or not even fact checking, right? Because we can't necessarily rely on them to be fact checkers in real time. I think we can, because as a sports fan, the way I see these niggas spit out statistics every 2 seconds, and tell us what happened 10 years ago and connect it and compare a player with 3 other people, I really feel like they could probably be fact checking in real time. I see it in sports all the time. But outside of that, one of the things people criticize the moderators for not doing is making sure they answer the damn question. Like Donald Trump, part of his lies, where most of his lies are being leveraged in response to questions that nobody answered, that nobody asked. Like, how are you blaming? So people needed to be able to say, so what's the connection between immigrants and this? We talk about childcare. I asked you a question about childcare, the cost of childcare, what's happening with the economy in relationship to what you as a candidate can offer parents, and this, and that. And you are talking about immigrants and black jobs. Like, just like the way we get to a lot of places speaks to the lack of work that moderators are doing. And I think that's really sad.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. I could not hear you at all before.
Yeah.
I know everybody else that they can hear, but I don't know if you caught anything about what I was saying in terms of the moderators, but I really feel like,
I feel like I feel like the moderators did their job. The job of the moderators is to make sure that both of them get the chance to speak.
No, it's not. The both speak about what? What am I just letting you blubber on around for if you're not answering the question?
That's the point of it. That's why if that's what we caring about, we shouldn't be watching the debates, because that's the purpose of, like, there's no rules that say that Donald Trump can't flip the question and answer it how he answered it. And the best thing that they could do is be like, well, and what they did, right? They would ask it again, like, this is what we're asking, and he's gonna answer it the way that he wants to answer it. Like, at the end of the day, like, they can't dictate honesty. Like, there's been they
can identify, like, there could be moments, and I think we've had, like, even when I've moderated, for example, debates between you and Lee, or like anything, like the ability to be like, okay, but the core question, like, just to be clear, what is your answer to X, right? To peg people down, right, to be like, people want to know. I mean, and I get what you're saying, how many times, but I don't know, maybe a punctuating statement should be made, like, don't know how directly that response answers the question, but understood. On to our next question. Something that is like implicative of how we are filtering through some of this information. Now, I get it. That can raise biases and do this and the other. But my standard is higher for debate moderators. I think they can do a much better job.
I agree.
I'm actually stunned that you're like, they did a phenomenal job, because
I didn't say they did a phenomenal job. I said they did their job. Like, we talking about CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. These are anchors that get up on TV and just spread bullshit all day anyway, right?
Ideal, not what we know they're going to pedal and push.
No, but it's why are we separating? Like, in this instance, why would we separate what they do, the purpose of their network, every day from the debate? Like, to try to raise the bar for the debate is out of the realm of like what the purpose of all of this is anyway. They give a damn about ratings at the end of the day. They give a damn about eyeballs at the end of the day. And if we constantly, I mean, because I agree. Shit, just like even if I'm just having a conversation with somebody selling bullshit, I'll be like, yo, I know this is rude. I have to stop you though. Cause like what you just said was just categorically false. But that's the problem. Like if we being polite versus being honest, sometimes those things clash. And the issue is that these moderators have to attempt to be polite. They have to attempt to be like, unbiased. Because we know that one person is gonna get more moderation than another one, if that's the way we thinking about moderation. Donald Trump would then be overly moderated because how many times you gonna have to stop that nigga to be like, hey, sir, Mr. Trump, what you're saying is not true, nor does it answer the question.
I can't even get my answer up because then the moderator is gonna stop me and tell me I'm not answering the question.
Exactly, and then they turn into victims.
Yeah. I hate that, man. So do we have any more? So fair. Moderators, they did their job. Let's see. I hate it. The problem with Biden is that
Toya is a debater. No, because we gotta remind the people. Like the reason why Toya is talking about the moderators she is because like she's moderated, judged, coached at like, you know what I'm saying, every level of this debate shit. You know what I'm saying? And so like we have a higher standard, and that's why I can't watch it. I turn that shit off.
Because I definitely hate watching it. Like, look at this bullshit. Listen to you. You're dumb. You're stupid.
So that gets to the last question. Do we put too much stock in these damn debates?
I think no. I mean, here's what I look at it like this. I look at it almost like I look at the Bronny shit. We got a while into the election. People need shit to talk about to fill the timeline so that they need news, right? And so what are we able to get from that? Even though we know these debates don't have implications on votership or turnout or anything like that, it gives us a conversation and narrative to keep the discussion going until we get to the big thing, which is November. Why do we talk about combines? Why do we talk about drafts? Why do we talk about second round players and this, that, and the other? Instead of just, you know what I'm saying? They be random people on the bench, and the other time we don't never. I sleep peacefully knowing that there are some Celtics players that are on that bench that I'm just like, I feel like I see your name in the media, but name to a face. Like, I don't know which one of the four of y'all is this individual right here. Couldn't tell you why. You know what I'm saying? But the reason why we stop and let the record scratch and we sit on Bronny is because they need story and conversation. The league, LeBron James is the best player in the history of basketball, statistically, numerically, quantitatively. Some people say qualitatively. Like his son, he has a chance to play with his son. The NBA season just ended, so they got a lot of time to fill between now and October when the league comes back. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can only ride the green jerseys for so long, and so after that, like, what is the next? Today was open. What was today? Free agency. And so a lot of NBA moves have been happening. So we'll listen to less Bronny and start talking about more things. But I say all this to say, going back to the debates, it's just fodder. It's just political theater. It's a part of what we know and understand to be kind of what creates the political smorgasbord that we get to eat off of during different seasons, different times of the year, and every 4 years and every 2 years and this, that, and the other. It's just a part of what we do. It's the pomp and circumstance of it all. It's kind of like graduation. Like, why do we have to come in and walk like this and do like this? It's what we do. It's what we do. We have people think
and that is why I don't respect niggas. Because all of this shit, like, we can't, and I'm not critiquing you specifically, because like you just kind of speaking to the sentiment, but we can't always talk about change and then settle into what is just what we do. It's just what we do, niggas. Don't change shit. You feel me? And so the amount of time and energy invested, because I like the conversation around like, do not be fooled. Okay, whatever. He looked old. Whatever. Donald Trump is a threat. I buy that. You know what I'm saying? I buy that. That's why I can objectively say Joe Biden lost the debate. He's been losing the image battle this entire election. His economy is better than Donald Trump's, but people don't trust Joe Biden on the economy. His jobs numbers is better than Donald Trump's, but people don't trust Joe Biden when it comes to jobs. Inflation is going down, wages are going up, but they still saying that inflation is the reason why I don't want to vote for Joe Biden. So it's like, but then everybody's like, but let me watch the debate. And it's like this is the problem with how we do politics as voters, as constituents. It's like everything is about how things are done instead of us rejecting certain notions. We can't begin to reject candidates like Joe Biden if we can't even reject like the debates.
I mean, I can't a lot though. I think uniquely enough though, these candidates are spectacles. You know what I'm saying? Because and we have to pay attention to that and be mindful of that. You have the oldest candidate in the world who's been known for his blunders and his missteps and literal missteps and misspeaking and this, that, and the other. You also have him who is fresh, not out of, but still a part of a very important conflict. So a lot of people want to hear what he got to say and how he going to speak for himself and how he going to advocate for himself, recognizing that we just started the summer off with protests, with Palestine, with the protests that were happening here in this country and the First Amendment rights that were being violated. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot of shit. It's a lot of reason why people were invested in watching it, even if they didn't have any desire to change a vote in a direction one way or another, a plan to vote. They were still like, I need to see this train wreck live. It's Donald Trump. He's a train, like he's the car accident. He's the reason why traffic be slow on the freeway. Because is there really a reason why we have to be driving this slow? No. People are nosy. That's the reason why there's traffic, why we're backed up, is because people got up on the accident and they slowed down and they wanted to watch and see if they can see a limb or an arm or some blood or see if what's happening and once they got their look and they realized there wasn't nothing really to see here and they had to keep it pushing, it went on out the way. That's why people stopped and watched Donald Trump. You know what I'm saying? So we again, politicians are spectacles, and we haven't had, I think I saw like a meme or something like that. It's like that we haven't had a civilized debate since like 2012, and I want to say that would have been between Mitt Romney and
Barack
Obama. You know what I'm saying? Where it was like real politicians having real political conversations that wasn't focused on lies and lock her up and this and you know what I'm saying? Like that was like the first time in a long time it was
since
about
Donald Trump has been injected into politics. Like, because again, we was calling what's his old ass rest in peace kinda Arizona Senate
Arizona, I know you're talking about
John McCain.
Yeah, John McCain.
We forget that John McCain checked this one white woman that was like, and he's a Muslim. He's not from here. John McCain took that damn mic so quick. Like,
yes.
That's not true, lady. Like, she was just like, it's
no,
not.
ma'am.
No, bitch, I don't believe this. You feel me?
Ma'am.
Even John McCain had.
And then didn't even only deny it was like he's a family man. He's a great individual. He cares about people, his constituents.
The man, like John McCain, was like, our differences are about policy.
Come on.
Not all of this other shit. Our differences are about policy. Same thing with what's his name? We just said it. Mitt Romney.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Mitt Romney wasn't like feeding into any of the hatred talk. It was more about, and then even the Republican Party after they lost to Obama in 2012 was like, we need to come to Jesus meeting. We need to be better when it comes to race. We need to be better when it comes to questions of gender and sexuality. And then Donald Trump shows up, and then all that shit got thrown out the window. So, you know what I mean? Like this civility conversation or this spectacle conversation is like, yeah, politicians have always kind of been a spectacle, but like we're now in the era of celebrity politicians. They want to be personalities, not leaders. They want to be, you know what I'm saying? They want to be celebrities, not legislators. And that's what we dealing with. Jim Jordan ain't passed a bill in 13 years.
Yeah.
What is he like? He's not been a part of anything successful legislation-wise, but he's a Trump kiss ass. So, it is what it is. You can get your final thoughts to it. We can go ahead and round it.
I mean, the comments, I think, got me just kind of interested. Blue said, yeah, they should have been promoting Biden's replacement before the last election was even over, and they didn't, which we can't, go through this conversation without acknowledging it. A lot of people are just like, Kamala, I hope you're ready, girl. I hope you got your got your boots strapped up. I hope you got your scarf and you're ready to wrap your shit up, because you're gonna have you some early mornings and some press conferences to have if things keep moving how they moving, because this president is not looking good. And so a lot of people are like, in a lot of ways. And this is what makes it interesting, because this is a little political theory. A lot of people, are saying this was the plan all along. Have Kamala be in office, have him run for 2 terms, and have the establishment Democrats be happy and satisfied with the Joe Biden presidency. Ride that train, understanding that he's old and that anything can happen in the middle of it. And since voters don't vote Kamala in the regular way, we bring her in
She's
through
just
the
gonna get
back
in
door.
there.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and so
Yeah.
then maybe people have a sample or a tasting of her presidency, and then she's able to run for her own presidency in the next election cycle. And so that's another possibility of how this thing plays out. I don't want to, prophesy death over anybody, but just looking at the realities of, because I mean, here's the thing we're not thinking about, y'all. Joe Biden is old, but what did we see in Barack Obama specifically when he got out of office? That man had aged. He had changed. You have a president coming at the end of a pandemic that is dealing with an economy that was already old as shit. You don't think just the job has aged him on top of like the natural maturation of
Him
life?
already being old, yeah. And he been in politics for longer than we've been alive. So if politics age you, this nigga's 10 years older than he probably should have been, or he probably would be if he
We thought
wasn't a
Barack Obama
politician.
with a light little salt and pepper, but for the most part, bruh's little
That nigga left that
haircut was
motherfucker.
nice.
He needed all the just for men.
He looked like
needed
Caesar.
all the just for men.
It was all less than, you know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
like, the job ages you, you know what I mean? And so, realistically, I think that might be part of the play. Is like we couldn't get you in the traditional way in terms of getting nominated and getting you even, past the primaries, but we gonna. And here's what I wonder, and maybe this plug. If she becomes president midterm, Biden's term, does that mean she gets to finish that and get possibility of 2 terms?
No, she just finishes his term. She just finishes his term.
And then she has the ability.
So then she would have to rerun. Yeah. She she would be able.
After that.
Oh,
like,
I'm talking about terms.
Yeah, like say she finished up his term. Would that and she got elected after him, so in 2028. Would that create a world where she could run again in 2032? Or would this count as one of her 2 terms?
I think that would count as one of her 2 terms. I don't think that they would be like, all right, I gotta look into that. That's an interesting question.
Things I'm thinking about out loud.
Yeah. Because Lyndon B. Johnson, after JFK got assassinated, Lyndon B. Johnson was about to run again, but he ran into a lot of the same problems. People called him old and all this other shit. So he dropped out. And that's what, essentially what got Nixon elected. So I'm gonna look into that. We'll have an answer for y'all.
Something to think about, something to say. Kevin said, I have a friend that said he would vote for Trump because of the 50-yard line. I don't know.
I don't even know what that means.
I don't even know. Tell your friend they tripping because we don't get it.
Kevin wanted to know, would she be able to get 10 years? I don't think so. I think that would count as a term, and she would be able to get like reelected, and then that would be that. But
because I guess I don't know. Like if I was a vice president, that's just not the same as president. Like I really feel like you should run my shit up until ain't no more time left. But who knows? Another conversation for another day. At the very least, we know that this is only the tip of the iceberg. It was just really getting started. We have a lot to remains to be seen. So one, are the Democrats going to try to pull a rabbit out of a hat and put somebody up there against Joe Biden and run against them? I say no, but that's what the calls are for. So I guess we'll see if anybody flirts with that conversation. Second thing we're going to be on the lookout for is I think there's a Supreme Court decision that comes out tomorrow because the Supreme Court is about to be out of session again that will determine whether or not Donald Trump
immunity
involved in January 6th makes him
not just immunity period, not even January 6th. Like this is a question of whether or not Donald Trump's claim on presidential immunity is constitutional, because he's arguing that anything that he did acting as president is protected, right? The prosecution is arguing that the shit that he didn't have nothing to do with being president. He just happened to be the president and then was doing crooked shit. So this is the case that's going to determine whether or not the United States can have a dictatorship. So
stay tuned for that. And then we also need to, last thing I'm just saying we looking out for, and that we'll be tagging back and forth and talking about over time, is just the general health and fitness of Joseph Biden. He had like press conferences, had a whole rally after the fact, and he was up there popping and moving or whatever. They gave him a Celsius, and he was feeling good about his life. He was up there.
Yeah, he was up there yelling, I know I'm old.
When I tell tell the truth. I tell the truth. Like, and, you better tell that truth, bro.
Yeah. So. Hey, so yeah, y'all be on the.
Oh, it was talking about 50 yards. Okay, the whole golf conversation, the whole back and forth.
He can hit the golf ball 50. He said
Yeah.
Biden probably can't even hit the golf ball 50 yards. Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, Donald Trump set the record for presidents on golf courses and how much time he spent on the golf course. So, who knows? But hey, appreciate everybody pulling up on this Sunday. We gonna get y'all
like Baby pointed out a good point. Roosevelt had some long time in office. He did some tricky shit with the clock in terms of how long he was president. So anything is possible. That is very true.
Yeah. So y'all stay tuned. We're gonna find out. We're gonna get a set day where we return. But our schedules, the summertime schedule, be what it is. So. We just glad y'all was able to y'all pull up when we pull up. Look at it, let's the chop up, pop up. That's what we do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Pop out and show niggas. You know what I mean? Hey, that's how it is.
We had to ask the chop up today. We don't want that to stop. So keep going. No matter where you drop the comment. Shout out to Chris John. Shout out to Chrissy for going ahead and dropping that for us. We had a Tyla conversation at the top. All they did was just jump in and comment on the YouTube video and was like, what y'all think about this? What's good? Do the same thing. Stuff is happening around us. If y'all want us to get into it, and we will. So make sure y'all are out there asking to chop up. And if y'all listening after the show, always true. You can also go to the Instagram and do the same thing at the Chop Up Show. Just go on the IG and tag us. You know what I'm saying? Let us know what's good. Drop it on the post. We'll talk about it.
All right, man. We love y'all, Chop Nation. We will see y'all next time. Shout out Kevin. Shout out Lion Tom. Shout out Blue, Shabo, everybody that showed love. We appreciate y'all. We will see y'all next time.
Shout out to everybody who know what this image is on my shirt. It's on fire, baby. Never forget.
I don't.
I don't. The
chocolate. You stupid. Peace. We out.
Yeah.